All right, let's get into it. Today, we're jumping behind the wheel to talk about something really important: driving in Saudi Arabia. And I'm not just talking about the traffic laws, but the unwritten rules, that code of respect that really keeps everyone safe on the road.
So, have you ever thought about this? What's the real difference between a good driver and a truly great one? Well, it's not just about how well you handle the car. It's really about how you handle yourself and how you interact with everyone else out there. It all comes down to respect. Let's dig into what that actually looks like. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the driver's mindset, getting your head in the right space. Then, we'll look at who you're sharing the road with. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty: who has priority. And finally, we'll wrap up with your core responsibilities as a driver. Right. Let's start at the very beginning. Because before you even turn that key, everything, and I mean everything, starts with your mindset. Okay, this is a really important distinction. See, it boils down to two key ideas. On one hand, you have driving safely. That's all about you, making sure you're physically and mentally ready to be behind the wheel so you're not a danger. But then there's driving with respect, and that's about everybody else. It's about paying attention to their rights and just being considerate. So once you've got that respectful mindset locked in, let's think about who you're actually sharing the road with. Because, as soon as you pull out of your driveway, you're joining this big, diverse community of travelers. First up, you've got pedestrians. Think about it. They're the most vulnerable people out there. They're moving at a totally different speed, and they need your complete attention, especially when you're getting close to crosswalks or intersections. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you're sharing the road with these enormous trucks. We're talking 40-ton vehicles that just can't stop on a dime like you can. And their blind spots, they're huge. So giving them plenty of room isn't just nice, it's smart. It's respectful driving. And of course, driving in the kingdom means you have to be ready for the truly unexpected. I mean, look at this, a herd of camels. This isn't just some postcard picture, it's a real possibility. You've got these ancient routes crossing modern highways. It's a perfect reminder that you have to stay alert, literally all the time.
So, okay, you've got pedestrians, giant trucks, even camels. How does this all work without descending into total chaos? Well, it all comes down to having really clear rules about who gets to go when. In other words, who has priority.
And the number one rule, absolutely non-negotiable, is this: emergency vehicles always have priority. If you see those lights flashing or you hear that siren, your only job is to get out of the way, safely and quickly. Simple as that. You clear a path. All right, let's talk about roundabouts. They can seem a little tricky sometimes, but the rule is actually super simple. So take a look at this diagram here. You've got vehicle B, which is already in the circle, and vehicle A, which is about to enter. So who has the right of way? And the answer couldn't be clearer. The car already in the roundabout gets to go. So vehicle B keeps moving and vehicle A has to wait its turn. You just yield until there's a safe gap. So let's just break that down into 3 easy steps. 1, you slow down as you get close. 2, you give way to any traffic that's already in there coming from your left. And 3, you only enter when it's totally clear. That's it. That's the rhythm that keeps everything flowing safely. Okay, but what happens when you get to an intersection and there are no signs, no traffic lights? It can feel a little confusing, but there's a golden rule. The car coming from your right has the right of way. You have to give way to them. It's a super important rule that just prevents chaos at those unmarked spots. Then there are U-turns, another really common situation. Now, you can usually make a U-turn at an intersection, as long as there isn't a sign telling you not to. But here's the key thing to remember. When you're making that U-turn, you have absolutely zero priority. You have to wait for everyone else before you go. And look, what if you're ever in a situation where you're just not sure who should go? The absolute safest thing you can do is just give way. Don't press the issue. Try to make a little eye contact with the other driver, maybe give a little wave. That kind of communication can prevent a serious accident. It's always, always better to be safe than to be right. All right, let's bring this all home. We're going to wrap up by going over your core obligations, the things that are totally non-negotiable every single time you get behind the wheel. Okay, so these are the big ones. These are the habits that really define a great, respectful driver. And notice these aren't just suggestions, right? It's about being proactive, like always using your turn signals to let people know what you're doing. Never entering an intersection if you can't get all the way through. And maybe the biggest one of all, always being willing to give up your right of way if it means avoiding a collision.
And this really leads us to a final thought, and it comes straight from the handbook. It's such a powerful reminder of our shared responsibility out there. Safety isn't just something that happens to you. It's an active choice you have to make second by second every time you drive. You know, at the end of the day, driving is both a privilege and a huge responsibility. So the question to leave you with is, how are you going to contribute to making the roads safer for every single person out there?